How's it going, everybody? Ryan from Hellcat Design USA, and today I'm going to be quickly going over how to do like a cutout type thing inside of textures. It's super simple. There's going to be two different ways that I do this. One is going to be with a texture that I'm just going to pull out, like a brick texture or something like that, and then the other one is just going to be how you would normally shade like a cartoon type stuff, cartoon type animals and stuff like that. So let's get started. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to come over to my block here, and I'm actually going to keep everything the same currently. I am going to grab this light here and click on that, change it to sun, click on that, change that to 3, okay. And I'm going to keep everything else the same, alright. Next, what I want to do is I'll want to go into rendered view. Like that right there. And if you notice over here, these little marks and stuff like that, that is actually due to, I don't know if it's an issue or it's something they're working on. Hold on one second. If I bring up my panel here by clicking N, I can go to view. And if you actually play with these settings by going to like the clip start, because this is where your focal, like where your clip starts and ends, like where you physically can see. So I usually go 0.01 and let's say 100. And if you notice, that gets rid of most of that, and you don't have to worry about that because this isn't going to be a huge scene. This is just going to be the area that I'm looking at right here. If I back out too far, it goes away, and that's the clip, the clipping. So, because if I change this up to 1,000, I can zoom and zoom and zoom, and it won't disappear like that. But all right. But anyway, back to what I was talking about. What we're going to do is I'm actually going to come up here, grab my scene and drag it over. I could normally go over into the shading settings or anything like that, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Then I'm going to come up here to this little tab and I'm going to click on Shader Editor and click N to get rid of that, and then I'm going to click on my cube, just make sure my cube is selected, go to Material and make a new material. This is going to be super simple. We're going to be using the principled shader here, and I'll be adding in a couple other things. Here, let me get rid of that too. I'll be adding in a couple things here so that you can see what's going on. Alright, so I'm going to hit Shift A and add in a vector. Under vector, it'll be bump. Okay, that's what we're going to start out with. We're going to do a bump to the normal, and then we're going to do a texture, and then we're going to do a noise texture here. Where is my noise texture? I always lose it, sorry. And then for the factor for that, we're going to plug that into the height of that. And if you give it a second to load here, okay, you get an effect like that. Kind of cool, but that not really what we're looking for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this back a little, hit Shift A and Shader, and then I'm going to come down to, oh, not Shader, sorry, my bad. I'm looking for Converter Color Ramp. Okay, click on that and place that right in the middle there. All right, now what this is going to do is this is going to tell it where to go. So if I bring this up, okay, and then I bring this back, I can actually cut out and make it to specific parts. I can also drag that back, black back here. But if you drag this white, you can actually make only parts of it, you know, where the height is like that, okay? Kind of cool. But there's also other stuff we can do to it too. So I'm going to turn my scale up to, let's say 10 or 15, whatever you want. And then I always turn my detail up to 16 because that creates, if I click on my object and hit period here, I can zoom in. It creates nice little rough cutouts of the stuff that we want, okay? And that's just basically simple how to do that, okay? Let me come over here to a clean side so you can actually see, and then I'm going to make it a little bigger, a little more. And then we're going to do one other thing, because this is pretty cool so far, but there's other things, like I said, we can do to it. So if I click on my noise texture here and hit Control T, okay, what that'll do is that'll bring up a mapping and a texture coordinate node, okay, and then if I change that to, not UV, object there, what it'll do is it'll do the rust based off of the whole entire object, so corners and stuff like that will actually still be cut out as one whole piece. instead of if you have it set as UV and these two pieces aren't close to each other, this rust will end and it won't look good. So I like to stick to doing object for that, okay? And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab our noise texture here and our color ramp here, and we're gonna actually just hit Shift D, and we're gonna copy those and place those right up there. Then I'm gonna come over to my color and plug that into the base color of my principled shader here. All that is gonna do currently, and then I'm also gonna wanna take my vector from my mapping node and plug that in, just to make sure that they're the same, okay? Now, what these are gonna do is these are gonna dictate the color of the actual object itself. This is going to be nothing but the bump, the actual bump and where it is on the map. So anything that you change on either one of these will not affect the actual bump, but will affect the color, and anything you change on these will affect the bump, or vice versa. You know what I'm saying, okay? So if I come over here and we're going to take that black and I'm going to change that black, bring the light up a little bit, and I'm going to change that to like a red or maybe like a brownish color, okay? And then I'm going to zoom in here a little bit, and I'm going to move, oh, I don't want to do that. I'm going to bring this up a little until I start seeing some red in there. I want that red to cover the entire thing. By the way, if you go over that, it will so if you go over to the opposite side, it'll change, reverse the colors. So what I'm going to want to do for this is I'm actually going to want to drag this out just a little bit further than it was before, and what that will do is that will create a nice little edging to it, okay? And then for this, you can bring this up to tighten up the red, make sure it's in this all, fills in the cracks really well. And then from here I can actually click plus, and it'll create a new one in the middle there. I don't want it right there, I actually want to bring it back over here. Okay, and then we're going to change this color to more of a, let's bring it dark and go kind of tannish, so over in the yellows here. Okay, and now what that'll do is that if you look, the deeper end of it will be more tannish, and I'm going to click plus again, and then you can click on that, and then I'm going to change that to even a green, and you can kind of see, or a blue. Oh, let's find a nice color here. Actually, you know what, let's go do a deeper red, like a really dark red here. Okay, so now I have like a rust effect on a basic white color here. Okay, now I can change this color to whatever I want, and that'll change the brick, the actual color of the brick itself. So like if you're doing something cartoony and you have a wall or something like that, you can do that. And that right there, this actual simple setup, and like I said, these are added in together, and these are copied from this, okay? Simple bump, and you get this type of effect. Now you can change all of this. You can change the detail of the noise down here, and it'll actually cut down the noise a lot. Like if I zoom in here, you can kind of see it, it'll make it a little bumpy, but like I said, I like to keep the detail high so that it has a nice look to it. I change that to object, and then I just plug in the vector for both of these. And even for the noise on this, you can change these a little bit, like if I bring it up, but it'll move them. So anything that is on this noise texture, you want to keep with that noise texture. And with these two color ramps, they do affect each other based off of the colors. So if I move this, the further I move this out, the more of that texture I will get. So I want to make sure that I don't go too far here, and I just add a little extra rust. You can also come over here, and let's say you don't like exactly where it is, or there's too much of it or something like that. You can actually even bring down your scale here, say bring that scale down to 5. Okay, so all we have to do is change this one to 5, and we get the same effect. Okay, let's say you don't like the location of it. You can actually come over here to location and move. So here, let me hold shift, and if you can actually slowly move it across and see. You can even animate these bigger so that your rust actually slowly comes in. All you have to do is add keyframes into whatever you want. So let's say I'm on frame 1, I can come over here and hit I. If I hit I on location here, and then I come over to 250, and then I say, let's go to 15. Not 156, 15. There we go. And if I hit I again, okay, and then I just hit play on my animation, you'll see that the rust will slowly move around, and you know what I mean, based off of that. Okay. So you can actually see it moving across and affecting as rust comes through. It does stuff. You can, and that's just the location. So I can right click on this and then clear keyframes. So there's no keyframes on there anymore. Okay. You can also do load rotation, or you can have it grow bigger by, you know what I mean, animating these two values together. Anything that you do on one of these, you want to do to the other, basically, is what I'm saying. So if my texture, I animate my texture and I want the scale to go from 0, let's say 100, and that's just really small scale. And then I want to bring it up, I can animate it by hitting I and I down here. And then go to the end frame, and we'll do 5 and 5. And like I said, anything you do to these two, you have to do to the other. So I and I. And then we'll hit play. And oh, I didn't start that till 95 frames. Sorry about that. So as you see, it goes super fast, and then it grows and 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 grows. So you can, like I said, you can scrub the timeline and change this around and make it bigger and actually make the effects come in and go out and stuff like that. It's actually a really cool, simple texture that you can do to do that. Now I haven't figured out how to do the same effect with the color variations of the inside and stuff like that by adding a texture to the outside, but whenever I do figure out, I will update this tutorial and do the fix for it. Or if you know how to do it, please post in the comments, and because I'd love to know how to add a texture with being able to have these color variants in with the texture. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to all of the stuff that I did down here is going to stay the same, okay? Because I want the rest to stay the same. All I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this one, and hit X and delete them, okay? And then I'm going to hit Shift A, and then I'm going to come over here to texture, and then we're going to add in an image texture here. And then I'm just going to pull up a polygon texture. You can pull up any texture you want or whatever for whatever you're doing. Now let's grab, let's go down, bricks 5. There we go, nice variant brick. Okay, and I can take the color, plug the color in. And then you also always want to plug in the vector to the mapping. If you have a mapping node, you always want to make sure that you plug it in so that it's based off of the same settings. Most of the time you want to keep all of these settings the same. I don't know if this is unwrapped. It's not unwrapped. Hold on one sec. Let me unwrap it real quick. So, oh wait, that's actually another one of the issues. You can actually, now that it is unwrapped and you have it like that, you can actually change this over to UV if you have a texture in there. And it'll be based off of the UVs and not just that. Okay, so you have the same exact effect. Okay, here, let me bring this up so you can see this a little better by going to General, and then we're going to go to our graph editor, or not our graph editor, our, where did it go? Oh, compositor. No, not compositor. What am I thinking here? Image editor. Oh, okay, yeah, image editor, sorry. And then come over here and click on bricks. Okay, zoom out, and then if I'm clicked on my brick here and I hit tab to go into edit mode. Oh, UV editor, sorry about that. If I go into UV editor and then hit A and grab everything, I can scale that up and it'll scale the bricks up. I can actually even do U, and then instead of just a normal unwrap, I can go to cube projection. and it'll do it all based off of the cubes themselves. I can move the cubes around and have the edges connect and all that fun stuff, but this will work for now. But still you have your rust effect. I'm actually going to scale that back down so it's nice and big to, let's say, 5. Okay. Now, like I said, you still have your rust in there. It still looks like it cut out. The only problem that I have seen is that the material seems to shade based off of the detail of the noise texture, but it still uses the color value of the actual image, the render image. So even though it does look cut out and it does look good like that and stuff like that. Oh, and this right here is what I was saying is what happens when you use UV, because these are similar sections. You can see that this wraps around and it's the same, this and wraps around. They're the same, and the corners don't look good and stuff like that. That's one of the reasons why you want to do it based off of the object instead of that. And if I even wanted to, what I could do is I could come up to my map and my texture coordinate and then hold shift and click on both of them, and then hold shift D and do that, and then I can do this one based off of the object, okay, and this one based off of the UV, so that my texture that is showing is based off of the UV image, and then my down here it's based off of the object itself, so that I can still change all those same factors and it will still do what it was doing before. Okay, so that is basically it. Like I said, you can sit and change and edit and set in keyframes and all that fun stuff to do some animations for it, and it's a super simple texture. It takes 2 minutes to do once you know how to do it. So thank you for watching. If you like, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. All right, thanks. See you later.